Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Christy Don One, and I am back with another video. Now, this story blew up like a barn fire on social media a couple of days ago, and it was about Charlamagne the God, basically on one of his recent podcasts, talking about everyday struggle, DJ Akademiks to a lesser extent, and Joe Budden. All right. Basically, in a nutshell, he said in this particular podcast that he feels that, quote, everyday struggle is not going to be on the internet much longer, and this show is going to be pretty much dead within 6 months. All right. He also said a little bit, threw some shade at Joe Budden, saying that Joe Budden really don't want to stay in one place for so long. He really doesn't want to put a lot of time and effort in development, growth in a project. He's pretty much in and out before the project can even start running its own course. Now, a lot of people took that particular podcast and that particular transcript and basically saying in a nutshell that he was throwing mad crazy shade at DJ Akademiks, so much so that DJ Akademiks got on a live stream talking about the incident and talking about how he feels about Charlamagne the God, talking about recently that he was on Charlamagne the God's radio show, and he did an interview with him. And Charlamagne the God be really putting a lot of good, great words in his ear, and he pays attention to that. He says basically Charlamagne the God is that type of individual that when he speaks, it's best for you to just keep your lips closed and allow the information to process in your brain, all right? He basically, in a nutshell, talked about that, and he was also talking about when Charlamagne the God was talking about everyday struggles, Joe Budden and DJ Akademiks, to a lesser extent, he was talking about Joe Budden's commitment about the show. Now, I say all that to say this, okay? For all those out there who don't know the history of Joe Budden, I suggest you guys Google him. Google is your friend. But I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to run a quick bio about Joe Budden. Joe Budden used to be a hip-hop rapper. He had the hottest joint, all right, when he was at his pinnacle, and that was Pump It Up. Now, after I tell you this story, it's going to basically connect the dots on why Charlamagne the God said the things he said. Well, Joe Budden, when he did that project, he's a hip-hop historian. There's no lying about that. He also knows hip-hop facts. He also knows about the industry. But when you're talking about allowing things to cook, allowing things to breed, about certain particular projects and particular songs, Joe Budden is lackluster on that aspect of the game. Now, Jay-Z was telling Joe Budden, a very young Joe Budden, like, yo, Pump It Up is a huge smash, a huge hit, but you should be in the lab, you should be in the studio creating the next big blockbuster, the next big thing. And Joe Budden even admit this in a recent show that he didn't take the words and the knowledge of a Jay-Z, which at that particular time, Jay-Z was pretty young himself. He really didn't take it to heart. And he said also in a recent interview that maybe if he would have took that very seriously, the outlook on his hip-hop career, his rapping career, will be far different than what it is right now. Now, Joe Budden has dibbled and dabbled into other things since being a hip-hop rapper, being in the hip-hop industry, doing a lot of work with several labels. That's why he has a great relationship with a lot of these labels and a lot of these CEOs, all right? Hip-hop, and Joe Budden knows this for a fact, without hip-hop, a lot of us would not be eating even to this day, all right? So respect hip-hop and the culture and the movement, okay? So Joe Budden since then has been bouncing here and there, not only in the hip-hop industry, but he also dabbled just a little bit in reality TV. He thought that was going to paved the way. But once again, Joe Budden really doesn't stay in a place much longer to add a foundation to it. He's that type of brother that jumps in and jump out of different projects, all right? And now he's with Everyday Struggle. Now, to Charlamagne the God's credit, he feels that Everyday Struggle, if they're really expecting Joe Budden to nurture this, they have another thing coming, all right? Joe Budden may like it now, but depending on Joe Budden's behavior, depending on Joe Budden's attitude, and depending on what catches his eyes and what sparks another passion in his heart, he may jump off of Everyday Struggle, okay, and move on to the next thing, all right? DJ Akademiks talked about that in his Twitch live stream, and he also stated for the fact that Charlamagne the God whispered some more knowledge in his ear talking about Joe Budden when Joe Budden is arguing or talking or discussing or debating the hip-hop industry and the hip-hop movement, the culture, particularly the hip-hop industry, hip-hop business as general. Joe Budden knows more and can talk circles around DJ Akademiks, and DJ Akademiks agree and acknowledge that, because DJ Akademiks, his background is YouTube. His more claim of fame is internet media, YouTube, okay? Joe Budden's, when you look at his background, there are so many things in his background that is even greater than DJ Akademiks. Now, that's not saying that he's better than DJ Akademiks. It's just there are certain topics Joe Budden knows that DJ Akademiks simply don't. And DJ Akademiks understands that. And he also knows that when they're talking about hip-hop industry, when they're talking about hip-hop business, that's something DJ Akademiks stepped back on, particularly older rap. When you're talking about the 80s and the 90s, DJ Akademiks felt like, quote, talking about those artists, I lay back in discussion in that, and I passed the baton to Joe Budden because he knows these cats. He worked with these cats, okay? Now, in a nutshell, I'm going to give you guys my opinion. A lot of people feel that Charlamagne the God is really finessing DJ Akademiks. He is really trying to fool him. If a lot of people feel that Charlamagne the God really don't appreciate an individual like DJ Akademiks because he didn't have to work hard to get where he is, versus Charlamagne the God, Joe Budden, they had to peel back several layers to get to a point and a pinnacle where they are right now. All right. A lot of people feel like Charlamagne the God is hating on that fact, and for DJ Akademiks to have a platform that fast and that quick where Charlamagne the God had to work on it to get to that place, that's where a lot of people are in that particular discussion. Now, me personally, I don't think it's about that. I just think Charlamagne the God, he's been around the hip-hop industry, social media. He's been around these avenues long enough to give advice to not only DJ Akademiks, but to a lesser extent, Joe Budden. And he's not coming from the point of he hates these two cats. He's coming to the point and the conclusion that, if y'all really want this on and popping and relevant, and, particularly relevant on social media, because shows like this, they come in big, but they phase out even faster. All right. So, you can sit up there and honestly say that Charlamagne the God is trying to put a battery in these two, trying to pump them up to destroy the show within. But I don't think Charlamagne the God was getting at that point or that direction. Basically, he's looking at it as right now, you got to keep Joe Budden active and motivated, And you also got to keep Joe Budden's feet to the fire and get him to have passion and watch this thing grow organically and see where this platform takes you to the next level. All right. So that's where Charlamagne the God was coming from. He wasn't really throwing a lot of major mad shade at DJ Akademiks. He doesn't disrespect DJ Akademiks. He doesn't come to a place where he is disrespecting DJ Akademiks, because how DJ Akademiks got to where he is today, he doesn't feel like that's a tough road. That was more of an easy road, and cats like him had to take the long way around to get the industry's respect, quote unquote. I don't think Charlamagne the God was taking it to that level. I just think he's on the outside looking in, trying to give DJ Akademiks some words of wisdom, not only about the show, but Joe Budden. Now, DJ Akademiks also said in that Twitch live stream that he is going to be interviewed on Charlamagne the God's podcast, and they're going to be talking about this as well. All right, guys, tell me what you think out there. Rate, comment, subscribe, please. Notification gang in the building. When you see that notification bell, hit that notification icon so you'll be informed when my next live stream or when my next video is going down. It's your boy, I'm Christadon1, and I am out.